A powerful 7.8 magnitude earthquake hit southern Turkey and northern Syria early Monday, toppling hundreds of buildings and killing at least 641 people. Hundreds were still believed to be trapped under rubble, and the toll was expected to rise as rescue workers searched mounds of wreckage in cities and towns across the area. On both sides of the border, residents jolted out of sleep by the pre-dawn quake rushed outside on a cold, rainy and snowy winter night, as buildings were flattened and strong aftershocks continued. Rescue workers and residents in multiple cities searched for survivors, working through tangles of metal and giant piles of concrete. In the Turkish city of Adana, one resident said 3 buildings near his home collapsed. "I don't have the strength anymore," one survivor could be
İnsanlar yardım bekliyor. 112'ye ulaşılmıyor.
heard calling out from beneath the rubble as rescue workers tried to reach him, said the resident, journalism student Mohammed Fadi Yavuz. Further east in Diyarbakir, cranes and rescue teams rushed people on stretchers out of a mountain of pancake concrete floors that was once an apartment building. On the Syrian side of the border, the quake smashed opposition-held regions that are packed with some 4 million people displaced from other parts of Syria by the country's long civil war. Many of them live in buildings that are already wrecked from past bombardment. Hundreds of families remain trapped in rubble, the opposition emergency organization, called the White Helmets, said in a statement. Strained health facilities and hospitals were quickly filled with wounded, rescue workers said. "We fear that the deaths are in the hundreds," Muhib Kadur, a doctor, said by phone from the town of Atma. The quake, felt as far away as Cairo, struck a region that has been shaped by more than a decade of civil war in Syria. Millions of Syrian refugees live in Turkey. The swath of Syria affected by the quake is divided between government-held territory and the country's last opposition-held enclave, which is surrounded by Russian-backed government forces. The quake was centered about 90 kilometers, 60 miles, from the Syrian border outside the city of Gaziantep, a major Turkish provincial capital. At least 20 aftershocks followed, some hours later during daylight, the strongest measuring 6.6, Turkish authorities said. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said on Twitter that search and rescue teams were immediately dispatched to the areas hit by the quake. "We hope that we will get through this disaster together as soon as possible and with the least damage," he wrote. Turkey's Disaster and Emergency Management Agency said at least 284 people were killed in 7 Turkish provinces. The agency said 440 people were injured. The death toll in government-held areas of Syria climbed to 237 with more than 630 injured, according to Syrian state media. At least 120 people were killed in rebel-held areas, according to the White Helmets. Buildings were reported collapsed in a cross-border swath extending from Syria's cities of Aleppo and Hama to Turkey's Diyarbakir, more than 330 kilometers, 200 miles, to the northeast. Nearly 900 buildings were destroyed in Turkey's Gaziantep and Kahramanmaraş provinces, said Vice President Fiat Akçay. A hospital collapsed in the Mediterranean coastal city of Iskenderun. Turkey sits on top of major fault lines and is frequently shaken by earthquakes. Some 18,000 were killed in powerful earthquakes that hit northwest Turkey in 1999.